Welcome to Vitality Made Simple, the podcast that empowers you to feel younger, look younger, and more fully enjoy the many relationships in your life. I'm your host, Dr. Debbie Osment, and I sincerely thank you for joining me. Now, vitality is simply the capacity to live, to grow, to develop. It's physical vigor, it's intellectual vigor, it's zest for life, and we all want more of this. So in today's podcast, we're going to explore the popular term that you're all hearing a lot, and that is anti-aging medicine. So I'm going to help you unravel it for yourself so that you have a very clear understanding about what truly anti-aging medicine is. Now, this is information you're going to want. When you hear the term anti-aging medicine, what comes into your mind? Hopefully you're thinking of improved metabolic health, which that would include a sharper memory, better sleep, more stable blood sugar, reduced chronic inflammation, less pain, healthier gums and teeth, and better relationships. So hopefully you're thinking of anti-aging medicine from the inside out. But unfortunately, this term has been really squandered, I think, recently due to many cosmetic procedures. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cosmetic procedures if that's what you want to do, but they do not slow down the aging process. They do not change anything from the inside out. You think of your body as your relationship vehicle. I talk about this all the time on Vitality Made Simple. So you want the engine to run well, you want the carburetor, you want the filters, you want all of that to be working so that your vehicle runs and doesn't get stalled. The paint job is less important than the engine because you might even have a dent in your fender, but you want your engine to be running well. So that's a great analogy, I think, in terms of the world of anti-aging medicine. From my experience, there's just way too much confusion surrounding this term. Much of it is advertising, of course, based on the outward appearance rather than the inside out metabolic health that really matters. So what images does anti-aging medicine, conjure up in your mind? Do you picture somebody with a flawless face, no wrinkles, no so-called frown lines? These are not frown lines, by the way. These are smile lines. Or do you picture like a perfectly sculpted body? A full head of hair, whatever anti-aging medicine means. Or do you think of somebody who's energetic, who's filled with purpose, regardless of their age, who's living their life to the fullest, who has energy, who's sleeping well, and somebody who's not spending lots of time being sick, being tired, and having lots of doctor's visits? So I want to explore this. I want to give you my perspective, and I think it's actually going to give you peace of mind and hopefully energize you to focus your efforts at least in the right places initially, no matter what age you are. So to start out, I want to tell you a true story about two of my very favorite dead guys. Now, these were two dead guys who, when they were living, aggressively disagreed on some very important things. This is a true story, and it can teach us a lot about authentic anti-aging medicine. You've probably heard of one of these dead guys, Dr. Louis Pasteur. Now, he's the one that the pasteurization process is named after. He was a French biologist who discovered the microbes that caused alcohol to sour. And this eventually led to the pasteurization of milk and other discoveries, including the early vaccines. Now, Dr. Pasteur, along with other scientists in the mid-1800s, are credited with the germ theory of disease. The germ theory of disease states that most diseases are caused by the presence and the action of certain microorganisms. Now, they believed that if you are exposed to one of these disease-causing bugs, then you are certain to get that specific disease. Now, that is certainly true say with tuberculosis, but it doesn't mean everybody's going to get tuberculosis. But, those were the days when they were discovering that one microorganism caused a specific disease. They believed that the disease-causing bug was really in charge, and you might just have the bad luck of being exposed to that bug. Now, but an equally brilliant scientist that you've probably never heard of did not believe that. He believed that a person was more in charge of their health than the bug was. So his name was Dr. Antoine Bouchon, and he contended that although germs are present, they only gain footing in a nutrient-deficient, acidic, low oxygen environment. Now, these are variables that involve lifestyle choices. But because these two scientists did not agree on the true cause of illness, Dr. Pasteur and Dr. Bouchon were bitter rivals. I mean, bitter. And this is really a lost chapter in the history of biology, but it's a very, very important chapter. Dr. Pasteur believed that exposure to the germ was the reason for disease. He believed that the mere presence of a germ was the key to a person getting sick. This might sound a little familiar to you these days. Now, Dr. Bouchon did not believe that all germs were dangerous for a person. I mean, he believed that a person with a healthy terrain, and that's the term he used, think of soil or land, a person with a healthy terrain would be someone who was, well rested, well hydrated, well nourished, etc., and they would not be susceptible to that germ. Now, this was the mid-1800s, and Dr. Pasteur obviously won the argument. He did some really good things in medicine, such as sterilization of medical and dental equipment, but he also had some very powerful friends in very powerful places. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Bouchon's voice didn't get heard. It actually got squelched. But this story has a very fascinating twist. At the age of 46, Dr. Pasteur had a stroke, which left him partially paralyzed on the left side of his body. He partially recovered. He still had some problems, but then he either died of a stroke or kidney failure at the age of 73. But what's really interesting, I'm sorry to hear that about Dr. Pasteur, but on his deathbed, he stated, "The germ is nothing, the terrain is everything." So in other words, he was seeing that a body well rested, well nourished, well hydrated was really the key. The germ wasn't in control. The person is more in control. The germ is nothing. The terrain is everything. That's a quote by Dr. Louis Pasteur. Now, incidentally, Dr. Bouchon lived to the ripe old age of 92. I mean, isn't that interesting? I think it's a very inspirational story. It has been for me, and I hope it is for you too. You don't have to be from Oklahoma to know that we don't want to go around all the time being scared, and that aging more slowly is really an inside-out mechanism. It is that metabolic wellness, that metabolic health that will slow down the aging process. We've all met people who were younger than their years, and we've all met people who were older than their years. It's all inside out. It's not outside in. It's all about giving our bodies what they're designed to need. I love to call this living by design. Now, living by design, in my opinion, is really authentic anti-aging medicine. And when you live by design, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna look better, and you're gonna have more energy, more clarity of thought, and you're gonna be more emotionally stable for the relationships in your life. Now, in our world, you have to have a plan to include these basics in your life. You have to make sure that you're doing things to boost your metabolic vitality from the inside out. Think about a garden. It's the same concept. Dr. Bouchon used the term the terrain. You can build the soil, you can nourish the soil, and you can grow nutrient-dense, hardy plants that are really innately bug-resistant if the soil's good. Because plants have certain needs, and those needs must be met for the fruit to form. Building the soil really needs to be the first thing you do in order to get a good harvest. Now, another option, which is pretty common in our time, is to add chemicals. But of course, this is proving to not be the best option. It doesn't yield the best fruit. It doesn't yield the most nutritious garden produce. So like Dr. Boucham described, it's the basic things that matter most. So you have to prioritize your terrain. So today I want to just put that into like a 4-part framework for you with the acronym HOPE, H-O-P-E, which stands for hydration, original food, play and physical movement, and eternal perspective. Now, I talked in depth about this back in episode 72. Now, there are basic strategies that will strengthen your terrain, and these strategies will actually boost your metabolic health, but these are things that are easily forgotten, and they're all inside out. They're going to help you be more resistant to any microbial bug, whether it's bacteria, fungi, yeast, mold, whatever comes along in our world. Viruses. You're going to be more resilient if you do some basics. And these are not the only thing, but these are really baseline health strategies. In our world, you have to be intentional. You want to make yourself less vulnerable. So, think about the H. H is for staying optimally hydrated. You want to aim for 1/2 of your body weight in ounces of pure water every day. The O is you want to eat original food. So original food is food that is as close to the source as possible. Look for food that doesn't need a label to be recognized, and that you know what an apple is, you know what a piece of chicken is, without having to read a bunch of big words. You want to include, plant foods, of course, in your daily meals, foods that are, grown on a plant in dirt, rather than foods that are manufactured in a plant, that's full of people and producing, spewing smoke. You want plant foods. So H is hydration. O is original food. You can find a free fiber sheet on my website at drdebbieosment.com. I have a tab that says free resources, and it's a great help for a lot of people. It's going to show you how much fiber is in some really basic foods. I think I've got 40 or so on there, but it's going to help you kind of know how much fiber you're getting. You want to get around 30 grams a day if you're female and about 40 if you're male. More is better. You'll know when you feel good. You're the best boss of that. But most people are not eating enough fiber. So if you're wanting to eat more original food, then I think you'll like this fiber sheet. You're going to feel better in so many ways if you get more fiber in your diet. You're going to feel better, look better, sleep better, poop better. All that translates to better relationships. We all know somebody who is grouchy, and they might be grouchy because they're full of it. They might need this fiber sheet. So, it's a free download. So the H is for hydration, the O is for original food, and the P is for play and staying physically active. Find something you enjoy, something that is not stressful. It might be a functional movement, such as gardening or chasing a toddler around or playing pickleball. P's for play and physical movement. You gotta move it. If you want to age more slowly, that is just part of life. Now, last but not least, I believe that an important part of anti-aging medicine is to have an eternal perspective. Now, no matter how much water we drink, no matter how much healthy food we eat or how physically active we are, we're all going to die. And we're all going to face eternity. And I think we really need to accept that. I have a biblical eternal perspective. It's that biblical eternal perspective that really makes all the difference for me in my life, because there's just so much that we have no control over. And we have to have that perspective and trust God and give the things we can't control over to Him. One of my very favorite scriptures is 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So He's given us a mind, and we need to use it. We don't want to give in to fear that all the germs out there are just lurking, waiting to attack us. In our modern society, we tend to think that so many things are external rather than internal. I mean, pick your poison. The basics are so often overlooked, and so much of medical care is merely treating symptoms. That's what inspired me to start this podcast. I fully believe that physicians, if they had time, would help people stay well, but they don't have time. They have to help people get well. It's just very typical that we look at treating symptoms. It's very normal in our society. We want to resist normal. Remember, normal is usually not good because it's defined as the usual or the regular pattern in the world, in the society, at a particular time. Normal is really what's familiar, and that usual and regular pattern is probably not good. I would rather say optimal than normal. Consider what normal is in our world. Normal is dehydrated, irritated, constipated, frustrated, overscheduled, overstimulated, underrested, inflamed, and totally stressed out. I think I forgot undernourished in there. That is so normal in our world. But Vitality Made Simple is all about anti-aging from the inside out. Now, I've been interviewing some amazing health experts in the area of metabolic health. And a common denominator of the people I've interviewed and will continue to interview are those people who are experts and who are also curious and brave. Check out the previous podcast. I think you're going to like them, share them. They're meant to help people. And there's a lot more interviews lined up with other fascinating people that are going to inspire you along your road to age more slowly. Now, so remember, being healthy does not need to be confusing, expensive. It doesn't need to be no fun, but it does require discernment. It requires intentionality, and it's worth it. Our bodies have been designed with certain requirements, and part of that is to be in relationship with God and relationship with people. Thank you for sharing. The podcast is growing. I think we're now in 76 countries and 1,219 cities. And I'm pretty much, if you've noticed, a social media introvert. So I thank you for all you've done, because that's all up to because of you. Keep doing that. Thanks again for listening to episode 90. Together, we're going to live younger, we're going to live longer, and we're going to enjoy our relationships. Blessings until next time. Bye-bye.